Hello, everybody, and welcome to our session on how to raise investment on LinkedIn, which is exclusively for female founders. My name is Julia Elliott-Brown. I'm the CEO of Enter the Arena and the leading fundraising coach and advisor to female founders. And over the last 7 years, I've supported over 1,500 women on their journey to raise investment through our flagship fundraising academy for female founders, along with masterclasses and workshops. The founders I've supported have raised between them over £20 million in equity finance. And just to give you a bit of context about me, I'm also a serial entrepreneur myself. I've raised several £1 million for my own high growth business. I've written a best-selling book on the subject, which is called Raise, the Female Founder's Guide to Securing Investment. And I also host the leading podcast, Fundraising Stories with Female Founders. So when it comes to raising investment as a female founder, I am definitely the expert in this space. Now, today I'm going to be having a chat with the wonderful Jen Corcoran. I've worked with Jen for several years now. First of all, Jen has helped me personally with building my presence on LinkedIn, so I trust her implicitly. And Jen has also supported our female founder clients with doing the same. Now, I just want to talk a little bit about what's involved in raising investment before I invite Jen on, because there is a lot involved with raising investment. You've got to have an investable company. Your financial forecasts and your commercial structure of the deal have to be in great shape. Your communication skills have to be second to none. You've got to have great outreach messages. You've got to have a great pitch deck. You've got to be clear on your fundraising strategy and which investors might be a good fit for you. And you're also going to need to know how to run your fundraising campaign, how to have great meetings with investors, and how to negotiate your deal. And at Enter the Arena, we help female founders with all of this, help you develop your skills and support you through all of these steps. But the big question that people always ask us is, how do you connect with investors? Now, LinkedIn has become a really critical piece of the puzzle for raising investment as part of the overall process of fundraising, especially since everything kind of moved online in the post-pandemic world. So LinkedIn really is a platform that we need to embrace as female founders. And I know that you might feel nervous about how you do it. And that is why I've invited Jen to chat with me today, so we can start to overcome this fear and make the most of LinkedIn. So let me welcome Jen into the conversation. Hi, Jen. It's so great to see
Hi.
you.
Thanks so much for having me on.
So obviously I've talked a little bit about myself and my background. Let's hear a little bit about your credentials before we get into the chat. So tell us, what makes you the expert on LinkedIn?
I think that's a really great question. And I think it's so important for people when it comes to LinkedIn and in terms of raising investment and funding, because if you can't articulate what makes you an expert, how can you expect anyone to trust you? So I really loved your intro, and I would urge everyone to look back at like Julia's intro. She really was selling like her expertise, her USP, her UVP, so that you can have that trust with her. And I think, yeah, it's a great exercise for anyone to do. If you've not done it before, grab a Word doc or a Google Doc and write out bullet points of why you. So some of the reasons that make me an expert on LinkedIn are, I've been on LinkedIn for about 12 years, ever since I'm an employee, and I've won multiple awards and accolades because of how I leverage it. As an employee, I started to use it and I won the title of the most networked PA in London. And as a business owner, I've won multiple titles, such as social media influencer in London, in the Southwest. And the one I'm probably the most proud of is the #1 trusted marketing advisor in the UK from Enterprise Nation back in 2020. I'm somebody who walks the walk and talks the talk. I'm an accredited social media manager and trainer, unlike a lot of my peers. I think it's great when you're self-taught, but I actually know how to use the platform deeply. I think a lot of other self-professed gurus and experts, they're great at content, but I'm actually great at all of it and really helping my clients to get results. So I've supported, I think, over 700 female founders since I started in business 6 years ago, and I've got the social proof across LinkedIn, Google, Trustpilot, and my clients are consistently getting results. So I think, yeah, an important thing to know is I think a lot of my clients are female founders and they struggle with tooting their horn. So you have to remember it's not bragging if it's based on fact. So, think what are the facts that like differentiate you, what helps you stand out in a sea of voices on LinkedIn. And you really have to lean into your strengths and not be afraid to, shine really, because LinkedIn is getting a bit more crowded. Like Julia said, so many people are on it now in the post-pandemic world. We've got nearly 1 billion members, so you really need to spotlight why you. So for me, it's training, awards, social proof, multiple clients. I've been doing this for 6 years as a business owner. So yeah, they're just some of the reasons I'm an expert.
Yeah, you've got some serious credentials there, Jen. And I love the way you toot
Thank
your
you.
horn. We all need to be doing that. So there's kind of 3 key things we're going to look at today and do a little bit of a dive into, 3 key areas. So first thing is about how to craft your LinkedIn profile to attract attention, investors. Second thing, we're going to be looking at what your strategy could be on LinkedIn posts. And then finally, we're going to look at how you can connect with your ideal investors. So those are the 3 things we're going to cover. So let's kick off with the first question. I'm going to put a bit of framing around that, actually. So how to craft your profile to attract investors. And as Jen says, as women, we do tend to hide our light under a bushel. I've been working with female founders to raise investment I'm in my 8th year of doing it now. And it's such a common thing where women just don't feel that comfortable about talking about our skills and experience. I know I didn't used to feel comfortable about it, and it's something I've had to really step into. We have to put ourselves forward as a credible and backable entrepreneur so that we can attract investors. So Jen, what are the key things that female founders can think about doing with their LinkedIn profile? What are some actionable advice that you have that people can take away today? And everyone, make sure you've got your notepad and pen ready, because Jen's about to give you some real pearls of wisdom here.
Thank you. And I loved what you said about, the mindset struggles, because I work with so many amazing female entrepreneurs and they've all got blocks. And I'm always shocked because I'm like, you are amazing when I actually look at what they do in their businesses. So if you are somebody who's feeling the same, just take comfort with the fact that Julia said she's the same and I was the same. It's something I've had to work on again and again and again. And I think once you work on this, then you can really get LinkedIn working for you, from your profile to your content. So I think some actionable things that founders can do today are focus really initially at the above the fold on your LinkedIn profile, because it's all about creating that amazing first impression. So I would work on your banner area behind your head, your headshot and your headline, because if you don't capture people from the off, it's basically their last impression and they've clicked off your profile. They're not bothered with reading on or scrolling. So I think a common mistake I see made by female founders is they don't have good branding, which captures you. And I think if you're not willing to invest in a professional headshot, for example, how can you expect an investor to invest in you? You're not going to look like you're oozing confidence and credibility. So in terms of a headshot, absolutely get one. And I get that, people might be like, oh, I hate photos, I don't like getting my picture taken. You really, if you want to attract premium clients and investors, you really have to invest in a proper professional photographer who will, and that picture will speak for you and will just help you attract more of the right people. And when you're doing your outreach, you will just look a lot more credible. So that would be the first thing I would say. And then in terms of the banner, outsource again, get a graphic designer to design your banner. As much as I love Canva for like general graphics in your content, it's not, unless you're an expert at Canva, I would get a graphic designer to design your banner to really speak for you, because it is your ultimate billboard and it's your warm introduction to everyone on LinkedIn. So don't be afraid to like fully toot your horn and what you do in that banner and have it looking premium. And then down to your headline, I think a lot of female founders, they just put in a title. So they might put in something like CEO or founder. I would always think of it as a kind of formula ABC, because you've got 220 characters to play with. So the A is, what is your title, or you might have several titles, like Julia said, she's an author as well. Then the B is, who do you support? What's your niche? And be as specific as possible, because that's the way you will stand out and cut through. And then the
And
C is
Jen,
usually the part
just very, I was going to say, just super quickly on title, something I've noticed a lot of founders doing recently who are raising investment is they put that in their job title. So they'll say raising, if they're a UK founder, raising SEIS, EIS investment. And I think that's quite clever. What do you think about that?
I don't know if I would lead with it in my headline. I might have it more in my about section. I think you really want to shout out about who you are and how you can help. It reminds me a bit of, you see some business owners and they put the open to work circle around their headshot, and it gives that impression of, are you an employee? Can you help me? So sometimes, I mean, I don't know if I would personally lead with it. I would probably put it in the about section, or chat about it when I actually meet the connections in the DMs. You could put it in your video, even your cover story video, like when people land on your profile, you could mention it there. But I don't know. I just think you've got only 220 characters to sell what you do. So I would save it really for your title, your niche, and then the C part is the transformation. Like, how do you help people? And this is usually the part of the headline that people miss out, and that's the one that people will pay money for and invest in. So I personally put the characters for that, but you can definitely mention it in your about section. If you've captured their attention, they are going to read on, or they are going to click on your video. But if you've not shown up looking credible, if you've shown up looking a bit bland and generic with an unoptimized banner, not much in your headline, people are not, I think we're so quick on LinkedIn at the moment, just in general. If we don't like the look of what we see, we're just going to click ignore. We're not going to delve in. So I personally wouldn't lead with it. Maybe some others would want to lead with it. I think it all depends on who you're going after, which investors you're going after, and knowing what resonates with them.
Good point. Really good point. Anything else they should think about in terms of that profile? How long does it need to be? Really long, short?
I think just optimize it as much as possible. Like, put as much effort into your LinkedIn profile as you would your website. And I think so many female founders have got good websites, great pitch decks, great presentations, but a lot of that information is not in their profile. And if you are looking for investment, people are going to read your about section. They're going to look at your expertise, your experience, your skills, your social proof. So I think two things that I would really advocate is making sure you have a customer-centric about section that is fully selling you and your expertise and how you help other people. Don't be afraid to toot your horn in there and get straight to the point, mentioning your services. If you feel like name dropping some clients you've worked with, do that. Name drop kind of industries you support. The more information you give to showcase yourself as somebody credible and trustworthy, the better. And I find a lot of female founders really struggle in this section. Some of them have no summary at all, no about section, or they've got one line, and I'm like, oh, that's not enough. Or they speak in the third person, and I would put it in the first. Or they've got no call to action at the end. So they've got no email, no phone number, no link, no way to get in touch with you. Or they're leading with a Gmail or a Hotmail or a Yahoo, which doesn't ooze like credibility to me. So I would, really flesh out that about section and make sure it's customer centric versus brand centric. A lot of female founders write this section like they're still an employee, and they rattle off, I do this. They don't really think of how it's going to, appeal to the other person. So you always have to think, what the other person's always going to be thinking, what's in it for me? What's in it for me?
Yeah,
so
and those investors are looking, they want to know that they can trust you with their money. They want to know that you've got the skills and expertise as an entrepreneur, that experience in your industry that you can sell. And so I think, I would say that on that last point, when you've written your profile, get a few people to read it and give you some feedback. Ask them, does that reflect me? Is that the best reflection of me that it possibly could be? And they'll probably say, but what about this? And what about that? And then you can make it better. So, get some feedback for sure. All
Absolutely.
right, Jen,
I think go on, sorry. I was just going to say
I was
most
gonna,
female founders I work with, they start selling themselves in like paragraph 4, so get to
yeah,
the point like straight away. And if you've got something impressive, put it at the start because that will make people want to read on. Don't hide it at the end. It's like that
yeah.
humble brag. Like when I work with people, I end up, it's usually switching around their about section, moving things right up and
Mhm.
kind of go, we're leading with this. We're not just hiding this at the end.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you always need to keep reviewing, which reminds me, I probably should go and check my own LinkedIn profile, see if it's if it's good enough. All right, let's move on to the second part, which is strategies on posting content. Now, and again, what I see a lot is that many female founders don't know where to start with posting. And I get this feedback a lot where they say, oh, well, I don't want to come across as bragging or boring. I don't know what to say. And as you said, it's becoming tougher because a lot more people are on LinkedIn now. People are really starting to embrace the platform, making it even more difficult to cut through. So what kind of things could you be posting to come across as an authentic, credible expert in your field? How do you do it to get more followers? What's going to show that you're the best person in the world to be building this business that you're building?
Yeah, I think there's quite a few prompts that you could have in terms of authority building. So we've both mentioned the fact that we've won awards. I think if you've got any social proof, don't be shy to share it. I know a lot of my clients struggle with this. So I'm like, schedule a lot of your content, especially the ones, if it is social proof or something that you feel a little bit shy about, just get it going out. Lean into your past, your career, your life. If you've got any stories that you can share about obstacles you've overcome, how you've helped people transition and got them specific results, don't be shy to tell stories. That's how we all connect now online. So if you're like new to all of this and maybe you don't have a lot of testimonials, if you've got stories about results that you've achieved in your life, don't be afraid to shout about it. And likewise, if you've got results for your clients, definitely talk about these. Like we said at the start, get a Word doc or a Google doc and write down all of your accomplishments. Write down everything that's different about you, your USP, your UVP, just how you stand out and tell your story. I advocate in terms of social proof, I would say like one post out of every 5 should be, a case study or a testimonial or a transformation. In general, with content, easy content for any business owner is FAQs. Ask yourself, like, what are people asking you again and again and again, and create content about that because it's going to be super valuable and something that you can share again and again and again. Make sure your content, you're always yourself. I think a lot of people come on LinkedIn and they put on this super professional mask, and it's great to be professional, but you also need to inject a bit of personality and not be afraid to be yourself, because that's how you're going to truly stand out. If we're all there with our professional masks on, it's just going to be very bland and vanilla. So don't be afraid to lean into who you are, your values, what you stand for. But yeah, I think market research is always great as well. I send surveys to my community quite regularly just to see what are their struggles, what's blocking them, and then you can tailor your content around it. So I think the first port of call would always be, for me, would be market research. Ask people, what do you want more of? Is it like lives? Do you want newsletters? What features do you want to learn about? What are you struggling with? Is it lead gen? Just let me know. So don't be afraid to ask, peers, what do they need support in? And then, yeah, just dig into your expertise, your life stories you have, your career, results you've got for people, any accolades. And don't, as we said, it's not bragging if it's based on fact. And that's something I had to switch off in my brain because I felt quite braggy and it was like, oh, I don't like leading with I've won these awards or I've done this or I've done that. And you realize you have to, because if you don't spotlight yourself, you're going to do everyone you're trying to help a disservice, because they're not going to find you, and you're going to shoot yourself in the foot as well. And yeah, the world needs to hear from you. So don't be shy to, toot your horn, because it's super essential, super essential.
I think so. And I think I like this piece also around kind of demonstrating your expertise, that kind of thought leadership, and being really honest about stuff that you're trying in the business and what you're learning in the business, because investors really love that the authentic entrepreneur that kind of says, we tried this and it didn't work, and we're trying this and this is really successful, or I've had this challenge, this is how I've worked through it. They'll look at you as an entrepreneur that can pivot through those challenges, that can learn, that can be iterative, and that's also really powerful. So it doesn't have to look super glossy and perfect. There is
Yeah,
some honest authenticity that you can build into it, I think, which investors will really like.
I think people like your journey as well. They love to
They
see
do.
things from the start. They love behind the scenes. And we all fail, and you have to learn to fail as a business owner. You have to learn how to fail fast, and
Yes.
dust yourself off. And then if you can, say what you've learned, over the, you will help somebody else to fast track. So don't be afraid to say that you've had these obstacles, because we all have them. And I know a lot of LinkedIn can be all the shiny stuff, but I think it's all the more powerful if you actually lean into your story too, and your why, and the things you've overcome to get there. It makes it all the more powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, brilliant. So you've got your amazing profile. You're starting to post and posting regularly so that you're getting known on LinkedIn. Final piece of the puzzle that I want to talk to you about, Jen, is how do you connect with ideal investors? And the thing about LinkedIn, which I love, is it's become such a leveler, for female founders who, I think we always struggled to connect with investors because it felt like a bit of a closed shop, an investment system that's kind of very much kind of built by men for men, all these networking events over beers and loads of men in suits, really intimidating, right? But on LinkedIn, you're never actually more than a couple of connections away from your ideal investor. And also, we know that you are 10 times more likely to receive investment from someone you've been referred to. So,
Yeah.
what are your top tips on how to make those connections with potential investors, and how to make those connections work for you?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of like tracking. So all of my clients, I help them to flash out a tracker, and this can be your own CRM. With my clients, it's super simple. It's a Google sheet, and having tabs on there of the various people they want to connect with, nurture, build a relationship with. So just a few easy tabs for anyone listening today. Like one tab that I advise all my clients is have all your clients on there. That they're like probably the most valuable people in your network that can refer you on. Another tab is anyone you've ever had on a sales call. These people are clearly interested in what you do. And then I think if you're attracting investors, you're going to want to put all the ideal investors on one tab, and then start to show them some love. And you can do it in a variety of ways, but I would always start with their content, engage on their content. So maybe you're on LinkedIn for half an hour a day, bring up your ideal investor tab, and you'll have their name, you'll have their LinkedIn URL or their company page, whatever when you're going, whatever approach you could be approaching the individual or the company, and just start to engage on their content. And I would do that a few times before I would reach out to send the connection request. By then, they feel like, yes, I know that lady. She's been engaging on our content, and it helps to speed up that initial connection. So, yeah, I would start off with the content, and then, as Julia said, we're usually only one or two, usually only one really contact away. I think personally from a good introduction, a good the person you want to talk to. I think I think most people are only one away. So don't be afraid to lean into your network. And if you know you want to approach a specific investor, learn how to use LinkedIn search and see, does anyone in your network know that person or somebody close to them? And don't be shy to ask for that that introduction, because LinkedIn is a business platform. It's made for a business, for us to all be more productive and successful. The way I would do it is be super specific as to why you want that introduction, give them a little bit of information. Don't just say, hey, Mark, can you introduce me to Mary, and give no, information. So explain why, and then position it as a win-win, and say to them, I'd really appreciate this because of ABC, and let me know if I can help you in any way. Is there anybody I can introduce you to in my network? I'd love to support you too. So position it as a win-win, as opposed to just, hey, that kind of entitled approach. Why wouldn't you introduce me? Especially if you don't know that particular person well within your network, you might want to give their content some love first before you go in with the ask. And they're like, oh yeah, Jen was commenting on my content the other day. Now she's popped up. It feels a bit more natural, So yeah, I'm always about show the love on LinkedIn, and I'm constantly giving referrals and introductions in the back end. And it's the kind of thing that comes back to you as well. It's a really nice habit to get into. And as Julia said, once you get that introduction referral, you're quite likely to get the investment or the client, because that know, like, and trust has been built. So it's a great kind of a habit to get into, start to do those introductions yourself. And it just invokes the law of reciprocity. But yeah, I would always start with tracking, because if you can't track, you can't measure. Otherwise, you're just trying to, speak to everyone on LinkedIn. So be like super targeted. And I advise my clients to, get on their tracker, ideally every day for half an hour, and focus on the people on your tracker, and don't focus on anyone else, because you could be on LinkedIn all day. So you want to have that, approach, and make people feel special. When you are reaching out about their content, don't make it a bland comment. Or when you do connect with them, make them feel special. I give an example, like my client Laurie was quite new to LinkedIn, and she had no content. She's a newly qualified business coach, and she was trying to get clients and leads. And I was telling her, you have to nurture relationships in the DMs. So she really took that to heart, and went off, and she started connecting with people she really admired, like authors she loved. And she reached out to one particular author, and when they connected, she said, I really loved your book. I loved what you said on page 39, paragraph 7, when you said this. And the author was blown away. And the next day they were on a Zoom call. So make people feel special.
It's relationships, isn't it? I mean, I don't know about you, Jen, but I get hundreds of connection requests every week, and 95% of them don't even bother to put a covering note. And so I'm sorry, but I just ignore them, because I haven't got the time. I don't know why you want to connect with me. It makes no sense. And some people put a really bland covering note, which is clearly a copy and paste, also not good enough. You have to make it meaningful. It has to be about building the relationship. So great advice there from Jen. Thank you so much for all of this. We're coming to the end of our time together. If you would like some more support on fundraising, if you're a female founder, please go and check out enterthearena.co.uk. If you would like some more support and advice about LinkedIn, then you need to be speaking with Jen at mysuperconnector.co.uk. Reach out to both of us in the DMs. If you want to connect with us, you know what to do, because we've just told you. Tell us why you want to connect with us. Tell us that you were on the LinkedIn Live, what you liked about it, why you want to speak, what question you might have. Build the relationship first. So hopefully you've got lots of really, really great stuff to take away from that. This is the tip of the iceberg, isn't it, really, Jen? There is so much more you can do. But if you can get those basics right and just get started, I think, with LinkedIn, it's, you'll never get it perfect. The more you do it, the more comfortable it becomes. Being consistent, being on there, if you can get on there every day, you'll soon grow in your confidence. You'll soon grow.
Exactly. I just wanted to thank everybody, all the ladies who've joined us as well. Hopefully we've not left any of you hanging. I know Sharon was asking about the ABC, but I think Amelia has...
I'm sure there are lots and lots of questions. Unfortunately, we can't really deal with them in a 30-minute chat, but do feel free to pop us your questions, and we'll see. Maybe we'll do another one of these LinkedIn sessions again, Jen.
Yeah, I'd love to, because I just think I love what you were doing, and I just think so many female founders are blocked when it comes to LinkedIn. They just overthink it, and they're just blocking their progress. And I think you really just listen back to Julia's intro. That's all I will say. The first few lines of how she positioned herself was amazing. And I think once you learn how to do that, then you'll become more comfortable on LinkedIn, and you need to get that reflected in your profile. So always start in with your profile before you even worry about the content. Make sure you're showing up as an expert.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Jen. Thanks everyone for attending, and we'll see you all soon. Take care.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, Julia.